Good morning, friends! Happy New Year! What are we gonna have for breakfast? Mango! Mango float! But it's full of dairy. But you know what? We can make it vegan. Let's see if I achieve it or not. And speaking about achievement, it reminds me to a story of a mother who doesn't know how to read. But she wants her children not to be like her and to achieve something. So to change the course of her life, she did something out of the norm. Now, let me read the story of her children who just not learn how to read but become a very prominent neurosurgeon. Almost every day was the same. Ben and Curtis would return from school, play a little bit, and they would go to their house and be glued to the television. Both knew by heart each channel's programming schedule. They were very familiar with the sound of shootings from the old Western movies, the laughter from comedies, and the jingles from commercials. Lying on their mother's bed, the kids barely blinked for hours, mesmerized by the screen. Their father had died some time ago, and the boys, isolated in their routine, barely had any idea as to how hard their mother struggled to work as a maid at 3 different places in order to get by. The idea of reading a book did not cross their mind either. They only played and watched television. Then, one day, their mother realized that Ben, who was in the 5th grade, had been getting terrible grades. She was a simple but intelligent woman and sufficiently wise to understand that something was going wrong in regard to her sons. She had noticed that there were many books in the homes in which she worked. One day, when she got home, she turned off the television and immediately told them, "I want my children to make something of themselves in life." Ben and Curtis were greatly shocked and wide-eyed while their mother continued, "You will read 2 books a week." "What?" The children were stunned. "Read? And there is more. I want a summary of what you read." "But Mom, that's unfair," Ben complained. "All children my age watch television." "Get real. Reading is not fun," both complained. But they did not get anywhere. Their mother was serious. Then they remembered that there were no books in the house, with the exemption of the Bible. And they thought their mother would discard the idea, but she had it all planned. She would take the children to the books. Therefore, a short while later, there was Sonia taking her 2 inconsolable sons to the Detroit Public Library. Ben, with a grim gesture, entered the section of children's book. He liked animals very much, and when he found some volumes about animals, he decided to flip through the pages. The first book was about beavers, their type of habitat, and how they build their dams. His facial expression changed, and for the first time, Ben embarked on an extraordinary journey. He walked into a cold river in the forest where the beavers build their habitats. He was delighted. It was a very different experience from the one he had in front of the television set. Soon after, Ben anxiously waited for the time to go to the library, his new world. And with the passage of time, he understood that reading was very pleasant. Furthermore, through reading, he was able to retain more information than spending hours in front of the TV. Ben acquired knowledge, and the teacher noticed. As for the television, their mother allowed them to watch for a couple of hours a week. But the boys discovered that books were far more interesting than television. Years later, Ben and Curtis found out that their mother was illiterate and could not read the summaries they had made for her. However, she also tried to learn how to read and studied until she obtained a degree in primary education. Curtis became an engineer, and Ben, Carson, went from being a poor and indifferent student to becoming a world-renowned doctor. He traveled around the world teaching and performing delicate surgical procedures. He became famous for separating Siamese twins,
Moment of truth.
an operation that only a few Siamese had survived before.
It's still good.
And do you know when it all started? When his mother, Mrs. Sonia, turned off the television set and took them to a library. Isn't it interesting how reading can transform individuals? How much time do you spend in front of the television or the computer? Or the phone and tablet? What about facing a book? Reading is an exercise to develop the brain. However, excessive television or computer use can slow it down.
Achieved.
Thanks for watching and listening. This is Samay, your sister in Christ, saying bye-bye.